Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 27th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Saturday. Hopefully it's a good day. Hopefully it's a grand old day for you. As for me, it's been good. It's been solid. Pretty relaxed. We got up. Actually, it started off a little annoying, a little frustrating, because I went to sleep. 2 hours later, I wake up and I'm just like in a little bit of pain, like in my ankle. And my ankle's been kind of hurting on and off, but overall fine. But I felt like that was the reason I was awake. And I was like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up. I think I stay in bed for like maybe 15, 20 minutes, finally hobble around. I'm like, all right, let's take some Advil. Let's hang out for a bit. And then let's try to go back to sleep. So that's what we do. I'm able to get some sleep. I wake back up, I think, around 9 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, a little later than I liked for my day, but we have no plans. Today is a blank slate. Actually, the homies are out of town for Christmas shenanigans, things like that. Obviously love that for them. Hopefully they're getting back home soon and safe. But yeah, so I'm chilling. No big deal. No big time rush is what I'm getting at here. So I get up. I do a little bit of gaming. I say, all right, time to go to the gym. And I came in with a different mentality for our usually a heavy lifting day. I said, okay, no heavy lifting today. And I said, I'm going to go for, I guess, more intensity. And by that, I meant I want to go for more sets. So I think I want to say for about 75% of all my movements, I added an extra set to it of either 6 or 12. And but the difference was I wasn't moving as heavy. And what prompted this was I was watching this gym influencer guy. I think he goes by the name of Shizzy, some younger dude, whatever, super ripped. And I'm just listening to him kind of going about it. And I'm just used to people saying heavy and meaning like heavy in the most literal sense of like, yeah, this is the most weight, that we're lifting. We're lifting like a full stack, da da da. And I see him talking like heavy, and then he's picking up things that are not, in my opinion, heavy. And I'm like, this is really like, I don't know, in some ways, like kind of mentally humbling thing for me where I'm realizing like, hey, this person has an amazing physique. Clearly they're working hard. You see them gassing out on their sets. And it's like, oh, like when you have that full control, when you really are like digging deep and you're going extra, like that is heavy. You know what I mean? That truly is heavy. And I don't know, I was just kind of inspired by that. And I said, all right, we're not going to go and lift like our max weight or anything like that. We did that yesterday. Let's take a break from that. And I was like, let's just go ahead and lift like 45s. Let's just like lift, like try to bench like 55. I don't know, whatever. Nothing wild, nothing crazy today. But try to do a lot. Get a lot of volume in and see how that goes. So I came in. And the Smith machine was taken. So it's kind of like womp womp. But at the same time, I was like, hey, this is a perfect time to try to test this out, do a little different. So I went on the free weights. I'm doing those. I'm hitting those up. Like I said, just 45. And I think I did 40. So in some ways, I kind of upped my weight a little bit in some areas. I had to do a little bit of something for me. But overall, that went well. Nice way to start off. I was doing some filler work. And then as I was doing some filler work, I noticed the Smith machine opened up. Also, I got some core work in too before this point. And I was like, when the Smith machine's open, it's hard to say no. It's hard to, to not take it. So I went in and I did that. Once again, same kind of mantra, not lifting really heavy, but just trying to get that extra set in and try to really like dig as deep as I can. So, I do all that. I get all my movements in, and I had a really cool moment, very nice moment where I was like kind of wrapping up at the end, and I'm sitting on the bench real quick, and someone comes over to me and they're talking, like they're asking me questions, and I was immediately like anxious in terms of like I guess a little defensive, thinking that they're gonna correct me on something, like, oh hey, I noticed you were doing a thing, just so you know you can do this and it would be better. Like that's what I was assuming what was about to happen. And I'm a sponge to that. Like my initial feeling is like, ugh, that's annoying. I don't like that. Like, you know, I didn't ask, but I do try to like mull it over. And if I think they're right, then I incorporate what they said. You know, I do try to do that. But that's not what this was. They were like, hey, what do you do for your legs? What's your routine? And I was like, oh, and I just proceeded to start rattling off all the stuff I do. And they're like, you do that every day? And I'm like, yes. And I realized and at that moment I hadn't even listed like all of this stuff. I just listed like the broad strokes, and I was like, yeah, you know, like I just hit it a lot, and you know, it's paying off, I guess. And they were just like, yeah, I just like, hey, you know, your legs look good. And I was just like, I'm trying to work on my legs, so you know, I was just looking for any kind of tips. And I was like, this is the coolest bro compliment I will receive all year. And I was so happy. So happy. So that really pleased me. I was like kind of getting winded at that point from doing all this extra like work or whatever, and then finally closing on the Smith machine. Like my whole thing was just kind of out of whack. But that like gave me a second wind. I was like, I'm finishing my filler, and then I'm getting on cardio. We're good to go. Let's finish this. Let's finish strong. So that's what we did. And yes, it was a really good workout. I really enjoyed myself. So yeah, that was nice. I was very flattered. But yeah, from there, we just went home and, you know, did our usual stretches, had our, you know, our big little snack, and, you know, did some research for the news, and here we are. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. Don't have much to cover today. It's going to be a bit of an offbeat episode. This weekend feels like it, like at least news-wise, feels like it's fitting the time of year, you know, in between Christmas and New Year's. Not much to really do and report. I'm sure things are going on. It's just, I don't know, not as much coverage on it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's me coping. Oh, also, random aside, I did get to see my friend who was in town. He was working out with his girlfriend, so I got to meet his girlfriend, which was cool. But they were in town for the holidays, and I was like, so nice, good to see you. It's always cool to see like friends that, in this situation, I used to play Magic the Gathering with. And then, you know, now we've kind of went our separate ways, just living life, growing up, you know, moving onwards, outwards, whatever. But, you know, to run into, you know, the same person at the gym, we're both looking better, we're both looking more swole. So, I don't know, it was sick. So, it was definitely a really good gym day for sure. Good day at the Planet. All right, anyway, let's get into the news. From the Associated Press, Russia strikes Ukraine's capital and kills at least one person a day before Zelensky-Trump meeting. Russia attacked Ukraine's capital with ballistic missiles and drones on Saturday, killing at least one person and wounding 27, a day before talks between the leaders of Ukraine and the United States, authorities said. Explosions boomed across Kyiv as the attack began in early morning and continued for hours. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky prepared to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump in Florida on Sunday for further talks on ending the nearly 4-year war. Zelensky told reporters that he and Trump plan to discuss several matters, including security guarantees and territorial issues in the Donetsk and Zaporizhia regions. Now, from what I kind of heard, this is scant, I haven't really dug deep into it or anything, but I believe Zelensky, you know, in Ukraine has come up with this 20-point peace plan. It's supposed to have some concessions in it, but that being said, I don't think it's enough that Russia's going to be like, okay, yeah, we're cool with this. It's a yes. Also, I don't know how enthusiastic Trump is at this point about it, so I don't know. I mean, we'll see on that front. But obviously, unfortunate that there was another strike of this magnitude, and a person lost their life, and so many people, were hurt. Also just the destruction of property and the psychological damage of having to deal with this kind of shit day in and day out, season after season, now year after year. It is crazy that we are like on 4 years of this war. So, yeah. I just wanted to highlight it, talk about it a little bit. There are more details, obviously, in the article, but, I will save it for the avid readers. We're going to go ahead and move on, though, to another story from the Associated Press. Thailand and Cambodia sign a new ceasefire agreement to end border fighting. Thailand and Cambodia signed a ceasefire agreement on Saturday to end weeks of fighting along their border over competing territorial claims. The agreement took effect at noon and calls for a halt in military movements and airspace violation for military purposes. Only Thailand has carried out airstrikes, hitting sites in Cambodia as recently as Saturday morning, according to the Cambodian Defense Ministry. The deal also calls for Thailand, after the ceasefire has held for 72 hours, to repatriate 18 Cambodian soldiers it has held as prisoners since earlier fighting in July. Their release has been a major demand of the Cambodian side. That was a key thing that I had failed to mention in previous talks about this conflict, about the situation. Within hours of the signing, Thailand's foreign ministry protested to Cambodia that a Thai soldier sustained a permanent disability when he stepped on an anti-personnel landmine it charged and laid by Cambodian forces. Which is something I feel like they've kind of used and ran out before, saying like, hey, we have the ceasefire, but they're still placing these mines. Cambodia is like, no, we haven't placed any new mines. Those are like old ones, if anything. And, but this becomes like a decisive point, and then Thailand, goes, does like an act of aggression. I don't know. There's like a ratcheting up of things, a bit of a tit-tat, escalation there. But needless to say, I am happy to hear and, cover a ceasefire again. Once again, it's still by Malaysia. Donald Trump, hovering over this part of it, the ceasefire at this point. This seemed to be just Malaysia, kind of shepherding the whole thing. That being said, I feel like Donald Trump was just kind of presiding over it, saying, hey, if you guys don't cooperate, then I'm not going to do trade deals with you guys. You're going to have, some tariff problems, things like that. So they were playing ball on that alone. And, Trump got to say, okay, now I made peace there. There we go. Put it up on the board. But this is significant because he wasn't involved at all. I think Rubio was like, hey, this is cool. We're happy to see it. But once again, there was really no oversight. There was no intervention during this phase of it. The ceasefire being broken and then mended from America. So, I mean, in some ways, I'm kind of happy about that. I think that that's good because it shows that, hey, it's not contingent on Donald Trump waving his hand or the Trump administration waving its hand and, making something happen, forcing an issue. Let's see here. Was there anything else I really wanted to pull from the article? No, not really. There are more details, but there are things that we have more or less been covering since the start of the shit, I think in July, yeah. So, at least, from us covering it via the newsstand, so to speak. Obviously, there's a lot of history, a lot of border contention, that's been going on, between the two countries. But yeah, I'm always happy to cover a ceasefire, and I hope it holds. I hope it stays. I have more thoughts, I guess I could say, on the matter, but, it's neither here nor there for today. We'll leave that where it is. But yeah, let's see. We have one more story that I wanted to cover. We're going to end like we did yesterday and cover the weather. So from rain to now the snow. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our last break, and we'll go ahead and close it out. Oh, All right, from CNN. Flight delays and cancellations pile up at JFK as snowstorm jams post-Christmas travel in the Northeast. A winter storm dumped heavy snow and treacherous ice onto parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast Friday evening into Saturday morning, snarling travel and knocking out power in parts of the region. The number of delayed flights within, to, or out of the United States climbed to nearly 5,000 on Saturday, and more than 800 were canceled, according to FlightAware. The New York metropolitan area's 3 major airports are among the hardest hit, and additional disruptions are reported at Boston Logan International Airport. The challenges follow more than 8,500 delays and 1,700 cancellations on Friday. Flights oh boy. Flights at John F. Kennedy International, LaGuardia, and Newark Liberty International airports were delayed for up to 2 hours Saturday morning, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. So, definitely unfortunate, post Christmas, you're trying to get home, you're wrapping up your holiday maybe, and now you got to close it out at an airport, or you got to close it out at some hotel, and it's like, the weather's gross, things are nasty. To my knowledge, I think it might still be snowing in New York. I'm not exactly sure there. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you still got to stay, a little bit extended for your holiday, hopefully you're cozy. Hopefully, you're with family and friends and/or friends. Things are still good. Hopefully, you're not too jammed up. Obviously, my condolences if so. But yeah, obviously, most importantly, hopefully you're getting home safe. Whether it be traveling via road or by plane, what have you. I don't know. That's another reason I don't like traveling. It's like having to deal with like weather issues. Just big ick thing for me. No, thank you. But anyway, hopefully, like I said, you're staying safe, you're staying well out there in these rainy and these snowy times. But yeah, that's it. That's all I really have for today. A little short and sweet episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/AzaneNews. Become a newsie today. Roll call is coming up soon. I shout you out, plug a project if that's what you're into. For ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Let's see. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple. Always appreciated. But if not, that's okay. Thanks for just, kicking it with me. Let me kick it with you. But yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.